The time has come. The offseason is over. Major League Baseball is back. This is being filmed 2 days before opening day, and it's a good time to finally finalize my predictions. My official record is in for every single team, and it's time I give that to you guys by running through the standings. Then I'll give you my World Series prediction, ALCS and NLCS prediction, along with my MVPs and Cy Youngs. If you want a full year of content starting fresh with someone maybe you haven't really watched yet, I think my channel is perfect for that because I'm ready to give you so much content this season, so much passionate content about Major League Baseball, and it all starts right here. So let's start with a division that's maybe the best projected division going into a season ever, and that's this 2022 American League East. It was an absolute historical division last year, and the four teams that were really good stay projected to be really, really good. There's a few orders you can make of them. Let's start it off at the top. I have the Toronto Blue Jays coming in at 96-66, narrowly claiming the 1 seed in the American League. There's a few choices for the top spot in the AL East. There's a few choices for the number 1 spot in the American League. I've seen a few different chosen 1 seed so far in the American League on other people's predictions, but most people do have the Blue Jays winning the division. I do as well. It's pretty narrow, but the Blue Jays seem to be that team. Now, I am not underrating what Toronto lost in the offseason. They lost significant. The Cy Young Award winner and a great season from Marcus Semien, that is a big hit, but this might sound like a bold take, but last year's Blue Jays were either the best or the second best team in the American League, despite not making the playoffs. They were definitely the greatest non-postseason team of my lifetime. They ended up winning 91 games, so a really good record for a non-postseason team, but they had the best run differential in the American League. Their expected win-loss was 162. Rays were clearly a bit of just a regular season team, not that serious a threat because of their lack of rotation last year. They won 100 games, but they were definitely not the best team in the American League realistically. It was between the Blue Jays and the Astros, who won 95 games and went to the World Series. That's right, last year's Blue Jays were so good, and who knows if Vladdy could stay at the same pace. But even if he doesn't, you're getting a whole year of George Springer, who was great when he did play, but that was very limited last year. You're going to get a much higher WAR out of Springer. The big and recent trade was obviously Matt Chapman to the Blue Jays. Remember the last time the Blue Jays brought in a third baseman from the Oakland Athletics? It was Josh Donaldson, who won MVP his first year in Toronto. I've never been too high on Chapman offensively, but he should still be pretty solid on offense and great defense. I think it's realistic for Bo Bichette to have a better season than he did last year. Kevin Biggio had a bad year last year. I think he'll be at least decent. Obviously, we don't really have time to talk about all the core players on every single team, but, that's my take on the Toronto Blue Jays. They have a really solid rotation with guys like Ryu. They brought in Gausman. I think Ryu will be a bit better. Gausman has brought in a really good number 2. No, what am I saying? He's probably their number 1. Barrios is a really solid number 2, number 3 option. Alek Manoah and Yusei Kikuchi, a really good rotation. Second place in the American League East. This is where it gets fun. With a record of 94-68, I have the New York Yankees. That is right, the Yankees are a top 2 team in the American League East. I've had so much mixed emotions as a Yankee fan about this 2022 Yankees team. And don't think I'm going like crazy about them just by predicting 94-68. By the way, I have them getting the number 1 wild card in the American League for the 4th seed. I really don't want to see any comments that are like, oh, you're being biased by predicting them to win 94 games, because I would not be surprised. Like, there's definitely a world where the Yankees win the division and win 98 games. There's also a world where they only win 90 games. I'd be absolutely shocked if they won less than 88. This is a good, solid team. Here's what I don't think people are realizing. Joey Gallo is an addition to this team. Joey Gallo did not bring value to this team last year. But you're getting a full season and probably much better production out of Joey Gallo settled into New York. And you have Anthony Rizzo, who also brought a little bit but not a ton of value last year. I don't think he'll return to his prime, but I think he'll be pretty solid. You have to pray the Judge and Stan could replicate the health that they had last season. If they do, then there's absolutely no reason that they wouldn't produce at the same levels. It was really exactly who they are last year, how they produce. And then there's LeMahieu and Torres, who could really have bounce back years. Josh Donaldson is intriguing. I'm really excited to see what he brings. He was killing it in Florida in spring training. And I don't know, it just seems like a good fit so far. I like Donaldson in New York. Maybe Aaron Hicks could be back to pretty solid. Higashioka absolutely tearing it up in spring training, leading Florida in home runs. He should be at least a pretty solid catcher, I believe. The rotation does concern me, I'm not going to lie. Now, here's a little take I form with the Yankees. They always address whatever part of their team went bad the year before, and then kind of forget to address the other aspect of their team, okay? Think 2019 Yankees, insane offense, but they lacked pitching, and that's why they didn't beat the Astros and go to the World Series that year, okay? So what did they do in the offseason? They brought in Garrett Cole. And what happened in 2020? It was a bit of a down year for the offense, especially in 2021, after guys like LeMahieu and Voit came down to earth after a good 2020. And yeah, they just haven't addressed offense until the offense struggled, and they picked up Donaldson, and they got Gallo and Rizzo last year at the trade deadline. They obviously lacked that acquisition of a really big star that we thought we were going to have. But hey, they have a really good offense in my opinion. The pitching, though, concerns me. Garrett Cole, a really good ace. I'm really excited to see what Luis Severino could do. I pray that Luis Severino has a good year. But Severino's health is definitely still a concern. It always will be probably for him. And then Montgomery, Tyone, Cortez, I don't know, man. It's just like really, really iffy. And then Chapman, he'll have his annual month of incompetence. For the most part, hopefully he'll still be a pretty solid closer even as he ages. No more Britton, Green, and Loizaga especially, man. Loizaga, as soon as Chapman falters, put Loizaga at the closer role. Loizaga is so good. Full year of Clay Holmes helps for sure. And again, I won't be spending this much time on every division, but the AL East, the top 4 teams, are very, very special. Coming in third place, that's where I have the Tampa Bay Rays with a record of 93-69. I honestly saw a take by Dan Rourke who just said on TikTok, the Rays are a 4th place team. Honestly, not a bad take, man. The Rays just not caring about the talent that has helped them get to where they've been at is going to catch up to them now. I still have them going 93-69, finishing above Boston. A big aspect of that, I'm high on Randy Arozarena, and Wander Franco is pretty much an addition. He had an 800 OPS in, 40-so games, 50, 60 games last year. Wander Franco should be better than that and play a lot more games this year. The first true mark he left on Major League Baseball was the 2021 ALDS against the Red Sox when him and Arozarena carried them, and they ended up losing the series because the rest of the team didn't do much. They traded Austin Meadows last night. They don't have Tyler Glass now this season. They obviously are way out of the Snell and Morton era. It's going to catch up to them. What can I say, man? There's guys like Shane Baz, okay? This team has had a lot of success, at least in the regular season, with their weird way of playing. But this year, man, I know we've said this before, but it just seems unrealistic that they win this division again to me because of the stars exploding from every direction on the Blue Jays and Yankees, and Tampa Bay not even, they just prefer getting rid of a star. And I just got back from Tampa Bay yesterday, man, so I'm kind of I should be in a Ray-friendly vibe. I just really am against the moves that they've been making. 4th place with a record are 90-72. That will be the Boston Red Sox. By the way, Rays, number 2 wild card. Red Sox, number 3 wild card. So all 3 of my American League wild card teams come from the AL East. What could I say about Boston? They acquired Story, okay? They got rid of Renfroe, which 2021 Renfroe is probably better than what 2022 Story is projected to be. Sale was placed on the 60-day IL. That hurts. Eduardo Rodriguez is gone. Listen, this team is really competitive. They showed it in the postseason, but one thing that people got to realize with Boston, they were a 500 team in the second half of the regular season last year. They had an unprecedented start to the year. Can't even lie, I'm feeling a little bit like I should have put the Red Sox a bit lower, but we're putting them at 90-72, 4th place in the AL East. Can't even lie, I hope all 4 teams do play really well, even as a Yankee fan, because I want to see that crazy competition this year. I want to see 4 really good teams battling it out. I want all 4 teams to get 90-plus wins. And then the Orioles at 56-106. I already made my power ranking video on the Orioles back when I thought I was actually going to do 30 videos in 15 days for every single team. You can find the Orioles and Pirates one on my channel. The Orioles, I have it the worst record in all of Major League Baseball. AL Central time. I really am kind of high on the Chicago White Sox. I have them getting 95-67 record, number 2 seed in the American League. Are they the second best team in the American League? I think the Yankees are a little bit better, but I have the White Sox getting one more win than the Yankees due to, strength of opponents. Last year, I was really low on the White Sox. Most people had them going 95, 96 wins. I had them at 89 wins. They ended up winning 93, losing ALDS in just 4 games. So quite a little bit of a bummer season for the White Sox. My take about being down on them was fairly right, fairly wrong. People didn't even think that Rodon would be such a factor for them. So being that he had an unprecedented breakout season, and they still only won 93, I'd say my take was kind of good on the White Sox last year. Rodon is in San Francisco now, but overall I just really do like this core for the Chicago White Sox. Alright guys, after a few minutes of thinking about it, my White Sox take was one of the worst I've ever made. I am not actually high on this White Sox team. They're not getting the number 2 seed in the American League. This White Sox team is going to go 92-70. Yes, they're the clear best team in that American League Central, and they'll be owning the division again, but they're not winning 95. They're not winning more than last year. I just don't see much reason for that. I get it. Eloy Jimenez and that other beast, Luis Robert, they're going to play more games this year. This White Sox team, though, doesn't quite have the up and down the roster depth as some of the other teams in the American League, such as the Blue Jays, Astros, Yankees. I think the White Sox are more on the level of the Rays and Red Sox. The thing is, I actually have written here that the White Sox are going to the World Series. That was before I changed my mind about them. They're not going to the World Series. So White Sox, 92-70, number 3 seed. Lance Lynn is out for some time, and even when he comes back, he will not have that unprecedented ERA that he had last year. Carlos Rodon, after a great year, very valuable for them. He's out as well. He's off to San Francisco. I just don't like this White Sox rotation very much, if I'm being straight up honest with you. You have Giolito, and you have Lynn when he comes back. Remember, the bullpen for this team is absolutely filthy. The White Sox have an absolutely amazing, probably the best bullpen in baseball. Remember, they have Kendall Graveman, Aaron Bummer, Joe Kelly, Michael Kopech, Liam Hendricks. Who cares that they traded away Craig Kimbrell out to Los Angeles? They did add A.J. Pollock to their offense. A solid piece, but I think for a second straight year, the White Sox will cruise to the American League Central Division title, but be one of the more weaker division winners in baseball. But if I was a White Sox fan, I would still have some optimism that they perform like I initially had predicted. 95 wins, 2 seed, going to the World Series. There's still optimism for that for sure, but I think they'll be more like the Indians of a few years ago, like 2018 Indians, one of the weaker division winners out there. Second place, Minnesota Twins. I'm fairly high on the Twins. I have them going 83-79. The Twins were an average to maybe even solid, but let's say average team last year, post like June and on. Okay, the first 2 months, they just got off to an oddly bad start, and I know that they've depleted some roster since then. Nelson Cruz is obviously way out of there by now. The Mitch Garver era is over, but he only had one good season. That was 2019. Donaldson is gone, which definitely is bizarre that they made that trade. But Gio Urshela, I don't know, man. The Yankees easily won that trade. Okay, Gio Urshela, he's mid. He's just mid. And then Gary Sanchez, is he good? I don't know. Josh Donaldson, way more potential than either of those guys. Yankees win the trade for sure. Oh, not to mention the Yankees got Connor Falefa in that trade. I still think the Twins are overall a fairly solid baseball team, and they won the Carlos Correa sweepstakes. He's a Minnesota Twin for the year at least, and he did say that he thinks of it as a long-term thing. We'll see what that means. We'll see how it pans out, but I think he'll have a really good year in Minnesota, if I'm being honest with you. He absolutely will not have the really down first year with a new team that Lindor had with the Mets, and I kind of predicted Lindor to have that. I'm definitely not predicting that for Correa. Tigers, I have them going 80-82. I think some things separate the Tigers still from a good baseball team. They went like 77-85 last year. I think that was somewhat unprecedented. I know I keep using that word, but I don't think that was a true talent near average baseball team. But they added Baez, and honestly, just as big an addition is Eduardo Rodriguez. He's going to post a really good ERA in that ballpark. Listen, I love Javier Baez. I think he's pretty solid, but especially in that big ballpark, I don't see him posting an OPS well over 800 or anything like that. Fourth place, Cleveland Guardians, 76-86. What is there to say overall? They went 80-82 last year, and they did overperform a bit. they were like a good team early on. Overall for this Cleveland team, there's literally not a ton to say, so I'm not going to say a ton. Just all around, slightly below average baseball team. Definitely to the below side of average, but not a terrible team. Last place, Kansas City Royals, 68-94. The losses are going to pile up with Salvador Perez probably not hitting 47 home runs again, and some more competition in that division for sure after only one team finished above 500 last year. AL West, Houston Astros are taking home the division title with a record of 94-68. Correa is out, but Verlander is back. For the offensive core, I think you could expect a lot of what you saw last year in terms of level of production. Who knows if Tucker is going to be quite the same. Maybe he will, maybe he won't. Or it's not that he won't be the same. It's that I don't know if they'll have as good of health with their core last year. But even if Tucker and Alvarez are not quite the same, which I'm really high on Alvarez, even if they're not quite the same, Bregman could easily take a step forward. Altuve should have another year of what he is. Gurriel is, again, I don't know, man. Gurriel is really, really aging for sure. And again, a lot of this is the reason I don't have them more like 97 wins. There's some factors. Maybe they don't stay as healthy. Gurriel, maybe his age catches up to him. And overall, they're losing a big-time leader in Carlos Correa for sure. But I do think Verlander is still going to be pretty good. So yeah, 94-68, number 2 seed in the AL for the Astros. Second place, Seattle Mariners, 86-76. For a while last year, and this remains true, the Mariners were a very honestly below average team last year. I know they went 89-73, just an absolutely abysmal run differential for such a record, and a very, very unprecedented record for their minus 50-ish run differential. This year, though, the Mariners made moves. They added Jesse Winker, and I'm definitely a Jesse Winker fan. I think he's so underrated. He made my underrated players vid from last summer. They added Robbie Ray, the reigning Cy Young Award winner. He's a very solid pitcher. So what was average at best roster, in my opinion, is now a truly pretty solid roster, but because of the unprecedented AL East, I think the Mariners are going to come just short of the postseason, but they're definitely in contention for that 6th spot. I initially thought maybe the Angels were better than the Mariners. I don't feel that way anymore. And don't call me crazy for thinking that possibly the Angels would be better than the Mariners. The Angels actually come in with better odds to win the division, according to FanDuel Sportsbook. Angels 82-80. After thinking about it, this is just not a really good roster overall, but I do have that star talent pushing them to the above side of 500, Trout, Ohtani, and Rendon. 4th place, Texas Rangers have them going 72-90. We can't dismiss just how bad they were last year, but it's definitely a new vibe in Texas with the great talents of Simeon and Seager now in action. 5th place, Oakland Athletics, 61-101. They completely tore it apart, which is an absolutely abysmal decision. I don't even want to think about it because it makes me angry that they would actually tear it down like this. They lost too much for me to rock with the, it's Oakland, we could just win with anything type of vibe. They'll still be like, alright. Nah, they're going to lose a lot of games. 2nd worst team in the American League behind just the Orioles. They threw away all their talent. Montas might get traded as well, but Sean Manaea is gone. Chris Bassett is gone. Don't underrate that. And then obviously Mark Canha, Matt Olson, Matt Chapman, Starling Marte. National League time. My NL East winner is different than it was just a week ago. The DeGrom news, along with just some other thought, I guess, led me to thinking that the Atlanta Braves are your 2022 National League East champions. I think that's just a smart move. I picked the Mets to narrowly win it last year over the Braves. I nearly did it again this year. I do think the Mets have too much talent to miss the postseason this year, but division-wise, Braves 95-67, number 2 seed in the National League. Just another good, solid Braves type of year, now reigning world champions. Freeman out, but Acuna back in, along with the addition of Matt Olson. The Mets 92-70, top wild card spot in the National League. Like I said, there's just so much talent up and down this Mets roster. It's insane. And if things aren't going great, they'll get some guys at the trade deadline because Stevie has all the money. DeGrom's health is a big concern for sure, but you have to figure he'll at least help the team eventually at some extent because it's actually unprecedented by how much he's the best pitcher in Major League Baseball. Lindor should have a better year and settle in. all comfortable now in Queens' second year, maybe take on a little bit more of a leadership role for the New York Mets. Pete Alonso is just really, really, really good. Big-time power threat. Third place, actually good this year. Philadelphia Phillies at 88 and 74. They're going to get the third and final wild card spot in the National League. The Phillies are going to make the postseason this year very narrowly and finally break the drought. There's just too much offensive talent, along with the great talent of Zach Wheeler, who I will mention later this video, along with solid number 2 of Aaron Nola, excitement with Ranger Suarez, and, you got Eflin and Gibson, reliable back-end arms. But the lineup is just insane. You have Schwarber, you have Castellanos, 2 great members added to the core. Harper, the reigning MVP. Real Muto. Hoskins tends to be underrated for sure. I think Didi could really bounce back. Remember, he played ill last year and was playing injured in 2019 with the Yankees. In 2020, when he was actually healthy recently with the Phillies, he had a good shortened campaign. So I'm not saying he's going to be good, but I think he'll be really respectable at shortstop. Gene Segura, really high average hitter. I think he fits in great as like a number 6 hitter on this team. I think too many players like Schwarber and stuff are too much more talented than him to have Segura get more at-bats, but Segura could be almost like a second leadoff man at the number 6 slot. Fourth place, a team that I actually am really excited about, the Miami Marlins, 78 and 84. Looking at their roster, they definitely lack the star power of the good 3 teams in this division, but they do not lack depth. The Marlins have just as much depth as the top teams in this division. If this was a normal division, then maybe the Marlins would be about 81 and 81-ish, but in this good division, I'll put them at 78 and 84. Fifth place, Nationals, 62 and 100. Listen, all I gotta say to you, the Nats were 40 and 39 last year. Then they traded everybody away soon after. After they were 40 and 39, they went 25 and 58, even with Soto producing at an absolute MVP level in that second half last year. This roster is absolutely brutal. The only thing that separates this team from the Baltimore Orioles is having Juan Soto and Nelson Cruz now. Into the National League Central. Definitely weak division. Winning it with a record of 90 and 72, the Milwaukee Brewers. This team is the best team in this division. They proved that last year. There was some thought maybe they would be the Cardinals coming into this year as just as good, or at least really, really close. I considered having it being a close battle, but at the end of the day, I think Milwaukee will be fine. 90 wins, that is my lowest for a division winner. It's because I'm not that high on their offense, even with the addition of Hunter Renfroe. But that pitching staff is incredible, with Burns, Woodruff, and Peralta, along with Hader at the back end. Second place, St. Louis Cardinals, 84 and 78, just missing the postseason. Above 500 baseball is just what the Cardinals do, and there's no reason why that won't be the case again in 2022. But this is a non-postseason year after 3 straight years, which they did get in. Remember, 2020 they only gotten in because of the expanded field. In the 6-team per league format this year, I think they'll come in at the number 8 seed and miss the postseason. It's just too much of a meh roster overall. Third place, Chicago Cubs, 74 and 88. The Cubs are trying to win. You gotta like to see that, That being said, what they traded away mid-season last year is not coming back, and that'll continue to hurt them. But I like the retool rather than straight-up rebuild for the Chicago Cubs, especially when you sell out every single game. That would be so saddening for the city of Chicago in summertime if there was no notable players or intriguing baseball to watch at Wrigley Field. Fourth place, Cincinnati Reds, 66 and 96. The Reds are going to be pretty brutal, guys. The Reds were above 500 last year, but they are making no effort to win. Seems like they're going into rebuild mode. Bad decision on the Reds' part. 2 straight years, actually, the Reds have been just above 500, but that's not happening this year. Nowhere close. Fifth place, Pittsburgh Pirates, 61 and 101. Remember, I made that video all about the Pirates, a 5-minute vid, so therefore I won't be talking about them any further in this vid. In the National League West, winning the division with a record of 108 and 54, the best record in baseball, by far the best team in baseball, one of the greatest teams of all time, one of the greatest dynasties of all time. Despite a lot of October chokes, that's the Los Angeles Dodgers. The bottom line is they have no weak spots in the offense. Jansen is out, but Kimbrel is in. We'll see how he handles that Hollywood closing role. And this team is definitely unfortunate for baseball after the addition of Freddie Freeman. And remember, something's going to happen with Bauer. Eventually, he'll either pitch for them or they'll get something in return for him. Coming in second place with a record of 89-73, getting the number 2 wild card in the National League. So you guys are like, is it the Giants or is it the Padres? It's the San Francisco Giants. I can't ignore the fact that they won 107 games last year, even though that was obviously not a pace that they could really sustain for another year. And they lost a lot with Buster Posey being a great producer for them. Kevin Gausman gone, but Carlos Rodon in. Remember, they lost Chris Bryant as well, but, he was only there for a couple of months. But it's Belt and Crawford who I unfortunately don't see nearly sustaining their production. But I'm just excited, and I'll be rooting for the Giants once again this year, just like I did last year. My favorite team in the National League. Love the San Fran vibe, and I'll continue to root for the black and orange like I will every single year. Third place, 87-75. That's the San Diego Padres. Probably the best non-postseason team in baseball. The separating factor for me between the Padres and October is Fernando Tatis's injury situation. He's out until about June, and then even after that, you got to just be careful with him. You got to monitor his situation. The Padres have way too much talent to continue to play like the September Padres from last year when they absolutely had one of the tragic collapses in baseball history. Like, it was literally the middle of July, and I had the Padres as a top 3 team in my power rankings. To think that they finished below 500 is probably, honestly, the craziest thing that happened in the year of 2021. And I don't know that I'm just talking about baseball here. Like, I'm talking about anything. Fourth place, the Colorado Rockies at 69-93, Chris Bryant's new team. Fifth place, 63-99, the Arizona Diamondbacks. World Series prediction: Los Angeles Dodgers over Toronto Blue Jays in 6 games. That's my straight up prediction. If you want me to make like a sneaky prediction, then let me know. Blue Jays Dodgers. Dodgers will return to Los Angeles and win it in Game 6. It'll probably be one of those things. Dodgers maybe take the first 2 in LA. Blue Jays take 2 of 3 in Toronto to keep the series back to Los Angeles, and the Dodgers close it out at home. That's what I have happening. The 2 1 seeds facing off. I mean, why wouldn't I have them facing off realistically? I picked them as the 1 seeds for a reason. It's because I think they're the best teams. But would not be surprised to see Yankees, Astros, or White Sox in the World Series representing the American League. I would be surprised to see anyone but the Dodgers representing the National League, and I would be very happy to see anyone but the Dodgers representing the NL. My ALCS prediction: Blue Jays over the Astros in 6. NLCS prediction: Dodgers over the Atlanta Braves in 4. Dodgers-Braves rivalry is really growing, with Freddie Freeman switching teams and them already having faced off in 3 of the last 4 Octobers. Awards time, guys. AL MVP. Mike Trout. It's a Mike Trout type of year. I'm kind of rocking with that. It seems like a popular pick to pick like Ohtani or Vlad right now. I just feel like it's going to be a Mike Trout type of year, and for the first time, picking him is not like the boring pick. I feel like he'll make a statement that he's still really, really good, and I'm rooting for him to do so. AL Cy Young. I have it being Garrett Cole finally getting that Cy Young award. He's going to finally pitch like the best pitcher in the American League, which he definitely is. National League awards. Give me Juan Soto for the National League MVPs, the clear favorite for that award, and I honestly definitely see him getting it unless the voters are complete morons and say he can't because the Nationals lose 100 games. That would be absurdly ridiculous, and that might be what stops Soto. It's an absolutely horrendous logic. You're going to steal awards from a man's career because his front office decided to rebuild? NL Cy Young, give me Zach Wheeler. I had Zach Wheeler coming in at number 3 in the Cy Young Award last year because I actually made top 3 for that. Maybe I'll do that this year, but I have him winning it this year. I was right in Zach Wheeler breaking out last year. I mean, he was really good in the short in 2020, but anyone could think that's just a little Mickey Mouse stretch. For me, I knew Wheeler was really talented. Gotta give a shout out to this one writer. A couple of years ago, I saw a little article that said Zach Wheeler is going to be the next Garrett Cole, which means a mid-career breakout into an elite arm. And look the reporter was literally right. Zach Wheeler is nearly as good as Garrett Cole. I feel like it'll either be Wheeler or Corbin Burns will go back to back. Thanks so much for watching, guys. If you want to see so much baseball content in the year 2022. Just subscribe to the channel. I have a bunch of stuff coming. Some things you'll see a lot of throughout the year on this channel if you want to know. Just general updates about the league and stuff. A specific team breakdown of where they're at and stuff. Series previews, big series when they're coming up. I'll preview the series. Most disappointing players, most surprising players at different points of the year. Same with teams, most disappointing and surprising. Playoff race and just updated predictions along the way. And even some, I know most of my audience is probably too young to bet and stuff, but odds fascinate me, and I'll maybe make a few vids regarding that. Thank you so much for watching, baseball fans. If you're really excited for this 2022 season, smash a thumbs up because I sure am as well. Thank you for watching. We'll see you next time.